There is a simple, profound joy in pulling a beetroot from your own soil. It feels like unearthing a hidden gem, a ruby-red treasure. You have nurtured it from a tiny seed. The connection to your food is immediate and powerful. You know exactly what has gone into it. Sun water, your own care. Store-bought beetroot is perfectly fine, but it cannot compare to a freshly harvested beetroot. Deeper flavor, more tender texture, immeasurable satisfaction. Growing your own reconnects you with the seasons, reconnects you with the land, even if it's just pots on a balcony. The benefits go beyond taste. Vitamins, minerals, compounds. The deep red color tells you it's full of antioxidants. The entire plant is edible. The leaves are delicious. Use them like spinach or like chard. 2 vegetables for the price of 1. Economical and reduces waste. For beginners, beetroot is forgiving. It doesn't demand expert knowledge, it grows quickly. That quick turnaround gives a real sense of accomplishment. It builds confidence for other vegetables. Versatile in the kitchen. Roast it, boil it, pickle it. Grate it raw into salads. Steam the leaves. Sauté the leaves. The journey from a small, wrinkled seed to a meal on your plate is deeply satisfying. Before you even think about touching the soil, it is wise to gather all the things you will need. This makes the whole process much smoother and more enjoyable. You do not need a vast array of expensive equipment. Start with the basics. A good garden fork for loosening the soil. A rake for creating a fine level surface for your seeds. A hand trowel, invaluable for weeding and thinning seedlings later on. And of course, a watering can with a fine rose attachment is essential for gently watering your seeds and young plants without washing them away. A pair of gardening gloves and a packet of beetroot seeds. Having these simple tools ready will set you up for a good start. If you have a garden bed or a vegetable patch, beetroot loves an open, sunny spot. Don't worry if you don't have a large garden. Beetroot grows exceptionally well in containers. Use a pot at least 30 centimeters deep and just as wide. Make sure the container has good drainage holes at the bottom. For your growing medium, choose good quality, peat-free, multi-purpose compost. If planting in the ground, keep a bag of compost handy to enrich the soil. Of course, the most important item is the seeds themselves. Boltardy is a classic and very reliable choice, resistant to bolting. Try long, cylindrical types like Cylindra, which are very easy to slice. Or explore golden varieties or white varieties that won't stain your hands. Browse a seed catalog or online and pick a variety that appeals to you. A single packet of seeds will give you more than enough for a generous crop. The success of your beetroot crop depends heavily on the quality of the soil you planted in. Beetroot needs a soil that is open. Beetroot needs a soil that is light. Beetroot needs a soil that is free from large stones. If the growing root encounters a big stone or a hard lump of clay, it will become misshapen and fanged. So, the first and most important job is to prepare your chosen patch of ground thoroughly. Begin by using your garden fork to dig over the soil to a depth of about a spade's blade, or around 25 to 30 centimeters. This action breaks up compaction, allowing air and water to penetrate, giving roots the freedom to grow downwards, straight and true. Once you have dug the area over, remove any obstacles. Go through the loosened soil with your hands or the fork, and pull out any large stones. Remove roots of perennial weeds, dandelions, couchgrass. If you leave these, they will compete for water and nutrients and be harder to remove once your crop is growing. This might seem tedious, but it is time well spent. A clean, clear bed is the best start for young vegetable plants. After clearing the soil, improve structure and fertility. Avoid adding fresh manure. Beetroot dislikes overly rich soil. It can make roots fork and produce excessive leaf growth. Instead, spread well-rotted garden compost or a general-purpose soil improver about 5 centimeters deep. This adds slow-release nutrients and improves soil structure, helping it hold moisture while still draining well. This balance is exactly what beetroot loves. With your soil perfectly prepared, the exciting moment of sowing has arrived. The best time to sow beetroot seeds outdoors is from mid-April through to July. Sowing a small batch of seeds every few weeks, a practice known as successional sowing, is a brilliant idea. This ensures you have a continuous supply of beetroot to harvest over a longer period, rather than a huge glut all at once. Avoid sowing too early in the spring when the soil is still cold and wet, as this can lead to poor germination and an increased risk of the plants bolting. A little patience at the start of the season will be rewarded with much better results in the long run. The process of sowing beetroot is wonderfully straightforward. First, use the corner of a hoe, the handle of your rake, or even a taut garden line and a stick to create a shallow trench or drill in your prepared soil. This drill should be no more than 2 centimeters deep. If you make it too deep, the seedlings will struggle to reach the surface. Make your rows about 30 centimeters apart. This gives the plants plenty of room to grow, and, just as importantly, it gives you enough space to walk between the rows for weeding and watering without treading on the soil and compacting it around your precious plants. Now you can sow the seeds. Beetroot seeds are interesting because they are not single seeds at all, but a cluster of several seeds in a quirky little case. This means that you will often get 2 or 3 seedlings emerging from the same spot. Sow the seeds thinly along the bottom of your drill, aiming for a spacing of about 10 centimeters between each seed cluster. Don't worry about getting the spacing perfect at this stage. We will thin them out later. After a week or 2, you should see the first signs of your beetroot seedlings pushing through the soil. They will appear as small, reddish-green shoots. Each beetroot seed is a cluster, so you will notice several seedlings emerging very close together. To get good-sized individual beets, you must perform a crucial task called thinning. When the seedlings are about 2 to 3 centimeters tall, carefully pull out the weaker ones, leaving the strongest seedling to grow on every 10 centimeters or so. This can feel a bit ruthless, but it is essential. Without this space, the roots will be crowded and will not be able to swell into the round globes you are hoping for. Watering is another key aspect of caring for your growing beetroot. They need a consistent supply of moisture to develop properly. If the soil is allowed to dry out completely and is then suddenly flooded with water, the roots can split. Keep the soil consistently moist, but not waterlogged. In dry weather, water them thoroughly once a week, or more if you are growing them in containers, which dry out much faster. One of the most common issues for gardeners is bolting. This is when the plant sends up a flower stalk before the root has developed properly. Caused by stress, sudden cold spell after germination, sowing too early in the season, water stress, too much water stress, too little. Slugs and snails can be a nuisance, especially when the seedlings are small and tender. They can graze them right down to the ground overnight. Control options: beer traps, environmentally friendly pellets. Another pest you might see is the leaf miner, which creates winding, papery tunnels inside the leaves. While this can look unsightly, it rarely affects the development of the root itself. The simplest solution is to pick off and dispose of any affected leaves as soon as you see them. Knowing when to harvest your beetroot is key to getting them at their absolute best. You do not want them to get too large, as they can become tough and woody. The ideal size for harvesting is when the root is somewhere between the size of a golf ball and a tennis ball. You can check their progress easily. Gently brush away the soil from the shoulders of the root where it emerges from the ground. If it looks to be a good size, then it is ready. Depending on the variety and when you sowed them, this will typically be around 8 to 12 weeks after sowing. Harvesting them young and tender provides the best flavor and texture. The process of harvesting is one of the great pleasures of gardening. On a dry day, grasp the leafy tops firmly close to the base of the root. Give a gentle pull and a slight twist, and the beetroot should lift cleanly from the soil. If the ground is very firm, you might need to use a hand fork to gently loosen the soil around the root first, being careful not to spear the beetroot itself. There is nothing quite like that feeling of pulling a perfect, round, earthy-smelling beetroot from the ground. Shake off any loose soil, but do not be tempted to wash them just yet if you plan on storing them. Once you have harvested your beetroot, you need to prepare them for storage. Take each beetroot and twist the leaves off with your hands, leaving about 5 centimeters of the stalks attached to the root. For a larger harvest that you want to keep for the winter months, the traditional method is to store them in a box of damp sand.